And another thing that I think is cool that you're doing the History of the Bay podcast. Has there ever been, like, I don't think there's ever been like a podcast that talks about some of the stuff you've talked about? Like you just did I mean, not that I know of, but I just saw that you had on a guy from Richmond. And Magic Mike. Yeah. I grew up in Richmond near where those guys grew up. I never met them. I've seen them in pictures, other people, but I never heard it, other than word of mouth. Yeah. What you talked about. Right. That it might possibly be some of the first West Coast rappers.
Right. Whoa. Yeah. That's the fun part about having this podcast.
Dude, that's wild. Yeah.
And having access to some of the people I have access to and some of the knowledge I have access to. And the idea of doing it was so that people could tell the stories themselves. So it's not just me talking about people, because I don't know everything, and I've never claimed to be like the expert on any of this stuff.
For sure.
But giving someone like Magic Mike a platform is big. And I've had all types of different people. I've had mostly rappers, a few graffiti writers. I had somebody who's a former heroin addict who now works in recovery. Wow. I've had journalists on. So I'm trying to tell the history of the Bay in a real complete picture. And like you said, touching on those things that people might not know about.
And that's it.
Who was your favorite interview so far, and why?
That Magic Mike one might be that was crazy to me. That was big for me to have a pioneer like that like people don't have access to this guy. Like, I just met him doing the podcast, but for him to be able to come through and speak on some of the stuff, like even from my own understanding of where all this Bay Area music came from, that was big for me. Like, and then just having something so exclusive, like, whoa, this dude's gonna tell his story, probably more detailed than any of the other interviews I've seen him do over the years.
Because he probably also hasn't had a platform to speak about it in a long time. Like, that's the thing that I love about, the podcast era right now, where, we can have on guests that, like we were talking about with our last guest, good stories can come out of anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the beauty about, just everyday people everyday people get movies made about them, that's the thing that's, it kind of shifted back, I would say, power as far as journalism goes to regular people in the podcasting world.
Yeah. You don't have to go to a radio station.
Right.
Or a TV station.
And with you build up a following, and that in itself, you can be the daily the daily show of your town. And the thing that I always, as I get older and start learning the history more of the Bay Area, man, there's a lot of stuff that's come out of here that doesn't get talked about as much. On hip hop, like you mentioned, and then I grew up going to metal shows, punk shows.
Nice.
And the whole thrash metal, which is global now, started in the Bay Area, Richmond, SF, Oakland area. Right. And that thing is global now, where it's, but the roots, the first band that came out from, it's Richmond, California.
Right here,
first,
yeah.
I didn't even know that myself.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
the first, and I've heard that from people that aren't from Richmond that tell me about, stuff that, where I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. So that's the thing that I think the Bay Area, we're not, it's, we don't have the Hollywood here, but a lot of stuff, like I said, has come out of here. And that's why I think people like you are important, because you're adding to that.
Right on. Yeah. I mean, there's so much to pull from. So I feel like I could just, like I said, I just talk about the stuff I enjoy talking about.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like the deeper you look into it, like if you go back to World War II, how this was a big, this area was a big part of that. Just go fast forward to how many things have happened here. Like I said, it doesn't get talked about as much, and I'm trying to word it, man. Sorry, but like basically, as far as like because this is not seen as a I'll do.
The Bay Area seems to be the West Coast entertainment's best kept secret.
Yes. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, do you think there's so much history here that's not known even within us, and if so, why do you think so?
By the way, this is Marcos.
Sorry. Brother. How you doing? I was taking our last guest apart.
Yeah, it's all good. So let's say the question again. My bad.
Do you think that there is a lot of unknown history still within, like, maybe entertainment or just culture in general for the Bay Area?
Right,
and if so, why has it been held where we don't know?
There's so much to cover. It's like there's so many areas you can go into. Like
just
you said,
SF alone.
Just SF alone. Any of these cities alone.
SF, Richmond, Berkeley.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Exactly. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, man, we got to take responsibility for telling our stories. And now I feel like more than ever, there's a big surge in that with like movies and TV shows like Blind Spotting.
For sure.
Some of the other podcasts that are out here right now, some of the other artists, like there's some cool stuff happening. So I think it's just on us to tell that story. But yeah, it's kind of mind blowing how much has happened in this one area
that's impacted culture for the whole country.
Yeah.
Or around the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you think that it is our fault as the Bay Area for not growing or not being an even bigger staple in entertainment and art in general?
Nah, I don't think it's our fault, because I think the way that the Hollywood media entertainment machine works is just like they're based in New York, they're based in LA.
Yeah.
Stories from, you know, how many movies have been made about New York City, you know what I mean? How many movies are set in LA? It's like, that's not a coincidence, you know what I mean?
For sure.
That's just where a lot of these people and these companies are. And but I don't want to say our fault, but I would just say our responsibility, because I deal with a lot of people hitting me up, getting kind of in their feelings about, hey, how come you're not talking about me? I'm like, man, at the end of the day, that's not my job. That's your job.
Yeah.
You're supposed to go talk about you and then give me something to work with. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I still have respect for all that, but
sure.
you know, and I feel this way about what I'm doing. I can't just sit back and go out as, oh yeah, that's that one guy from Instagram. It's like, no, I gotta show people what I'm about. You know what I mean?
Right.
We need to up our game and shit. We need to do comedy butt naked, right?
I remember this dude.
For you, but we'll take you.
He started saying his goodbyes.
At the end, I just remember the guy coming up and giving me the check, and he goes, "Yeah, that'll be our last time."
When the Beatles, you know, wrote the White Album, did they have to like pass it in front of some drunks? So why are we doing